Welcome back to this Moneycontrol live stream. You're watching Closing Bell with me, Nandita, Khemka, and my colleague here,
Yatin, Mota.
Well, Yatin, of course, I'm sure people are not really, interested in watching the markets at the current juncture, given the fact that we have, India, New Zealand semi-finals going on, and of course, men in blue in fine fettle, given the fact that Shubman Gill is inching towards his century, and Virat Kohli also at the crease. But shifting focus to the markets, great session today. Wonderful Wednesday, as it turned out to be for the markets, given the fact that the Nifty, ended above that 19,650 mark. In fact, the Sensex also clocked a over 700-point rally, and all the sectors participated in the run that we saw today. The IT pack, the realty pack, those were the most, the topmost gainers. If you look at the realty pack, I think that index was up somewhere around 3% or thereabouts, and the Nifty IT pack as well, gaining in excess of 1.5 to 2% apiece. If you look at some of the Nifty movers, you had the likes of Eicher Motors, you had Tech Mahindra, Hindalco, Tata Motors, Wipro. These were among the top gainers. Losers were few and far between. In fact, you can count them on your fingers. 3 to 4 losers in today's session. The likes of Bajaj Finance, you had Power Grid, and you have IndusInd Bank that was gaining at the start of the session on the back of that MSCI inclusion. But towards the end of the session, it came under some bit of profit booking, and that stock ended in the red. But let's talk about the mid and small cap end of the markets as well, Yatin. That was also that end of the market was also fairly buoyant today. Small cap index gaining somewhere around 1.5% or thereabouts.
Absolutely.
What were the top movers there?
So, if you look at the mid-cap indices, 1.5% kind of gains coming in there, and the advance decline ratio also looking quite strong. Now, obviously, the markets today were in full action, largely driven by the F&O stocks as well as the IT pack. But if you look at the stock-specific gainers in trade today, we had the likes of Network 18, that stock was up 8%, Motilal Oswal Financial, Angel Broking, all of these stocks up nearly 8%. Also, Manappuram reacted positively to its second quarter earnings, which were good. And more importantly, Morgan Stanley has increased the target price to a level of 200 on the stock. The stock went up 7% post the brokerage upgrade. Wellspun India also gaining traction, 6% higher for that one. What was not doing well is NMDC post the results. The stock saw correction of nearly 3.5%. Honeywell Automation, Natco Pharma, JSL were the other stocks which were, probably trading 3-4% lower in trade. Raymond also saw some profit taking, 2% down for that one. Kalyan Jewellers, Credit Access Grameen, all of these stocks witnessing some bit of profit taking.
Right, those are some of the movers and shakers from the mid-cap end of the market. But let's talk about some of the stocks that are on our radar this afternoon, starting with Paytm. I think this stock, features on our list every now and then, but of course, it's on the back of news flow. Today, of course, the stock was up and about 2.5% kind of gains coming in on the back of inclusion in the MSCI Global Standard Index. In fact, if you look at what the brokerages have to say, the kind of inflows that are expected in the stock post this inclusion, ranges from anywhere between $140 million to $162 million. IFL Alternative Research believes that, the inclusion could, stoke inflows worth $140 million, whereas Nuvama believes that, post inclusion, this stock could see inflows worth $160 million or thereabouts. Remember, just before earnings, Jefferies had initiated coverage on the stock with the buy rating, target price at 1,300 rupees per share, which is in excess of 40% of where it's trading at the current juncture. And in fact, even though Q2 EBITDA was slightly below street estimates, Motilal Oswal believes that the company is on track to achieve earnings break even by FY25, and it also expects EBITDA of somewhere around 790 crore rupees for the company by FY25. So most of the analysts believe that the company is well on path to profitability, which is why even Atul Suri of Marathon Trends believes that there is a lot of money to be made when it comes to these new age tech firms. And of course, if you look at Paytm, the stock has gained somewhere around 70% on a YTD basis, and there's no stopping it, given the fact that analysts believe that there could be more upside going forward.
And I think today in the MSCI inclusion list, Paytm shares were also something which were to be kept on the focus radar, because yes, this will be a part of the MSCI Global Index. Now, obviously talking global, Siemens India shares surged nearly 2.5%, given the fact that there was a big restructuring announced with the global parent level. Now, if you look at the restructuring announcement, Siemens AG as well as Siemens Energy had a pact in order to restructure the entire holding in Siemens India. Now, because Siemens Energy is undergoing some headwinds in the European markets, especially to do with the faulty windmills and the liabilities, it has decided to pare their stake in Siemens India and sell 18% of that stake out of 24% to Siemens AG. Apart from that, Siemens AG as well as which is the German parent obviously for Siemens India, and Siemens Energy announced that they will put forth a proposal of demerger of the energy business for the India unit as well. Globally, we have Siemens AG as well as Siemens Energy, which trade separately, and probably they have similar plans for the India business also, subject to board approval as well as the regulatory approvals. But yes, post this announcement, we saw shares of Siemens India surge nearly 2.5-3% in intraday trade. And more importantly, last week Bloomberg had reported that Siemens Energy might sell their entire 24% in Siemens India via block deals and in open markets in order to raise cash. But probably that thing is not happening, since it's entered into agreement with Siemens AG to buy that 18% and the residual moving forward if the requirement be. So I think two key takeaways. Number one is the demerger of Siemens India's energy business, which contributes to nearly 35% of CY22 earnings and 50% of EBIT. Roundabout, these are rounded figures. And if you look at the other big thing, that was the hangover of Siemens Energy selling shares in Siemens India via block deal. So that is also not happening, probably because of which there was a lot of trading activity in the shares of Siemens India.
Right, I think shares of Siemens have been in focus with respect to the stake in the Indian arm, right? But with that, of course, let's take a look at the other stock that's on my radar. The last stock, really talking about Manappuram Finance. Of course, this stock zoomed as much as 10% in trade today, but of course settled higher by about 7% or thereabouts on the back of a great set of numbers, on the back of positive brokerage views as well. If you look at analyst expectations, they expect somewhere around 30 to 40% kind of upside from current levels. If you talk about global brokerages, Morgan Stanley, of course, has an overweight rating on the stock, target price at somewhere around 200 rupees per share, vis-a-vis 183 rupees that was the target price earlier before the numbers. Now, Morgan Stanley sees upside risk to earnings as well as valuation multiples going forward. If you look at what BofA has to say, Bank of America Securities, it has a target price of 182 rupees per share, buy rating once again. And it believes that it's the strong fee income and lower operating expenses that have led to the earnings beat. And FY24 will largely be focused on profitability as well as diversification of their portfolio, right? Even their non-gold business has done fairly well, and that's and added when it comes to the company's performance in the second quarter. And BofA has also pointed out that the stock trades at FY25 price to book of 0.94, which is lower than the 5-year average of 1.4x. So that means there is a lot of valuation headroom left in the stock. And it also said that the price to book multiple undervalues the strong non-gold business growth, as I pointed out, as well as the improving MFI yields, right? Going forward, Motilal Oswal also has positive view on the stock. It believes that the management is expected to maintain pricing discipline despite stiff competition in the gold loan segment, and the fact that the company will maintain the spreads and not focus on loan growth at the expense of spreads, which is something that will drive profitability going forward, right? And it also sees scope for valuation re-rating going forward, and the risk reward, according to Motilal Oswal, is favorable when it comes to Manappuram. So, target price here is 180 rupees per share, and the buy rating has been maintained here as well. So, Manappuram Finance, good going, 7 to 8% kind of up move at the end of the day, but at one point it was up somewhere around 10% or thereabouts.
Clearly, and there have been news reports in the markets which indicate that they will soon list their microfinance business and probably launch an IPO anytime soon, and probably that also should provide some cushion in terms of valuations and upside for this particular stock.
Right, those were all the stocks that are on our radar this afternoon. But of course, we've come to the end of this edition of Closing Bell. If you have any comments, leave them in the comment section below, and come back and join us at 8:30 a.m. in the morning tomorrow on Morning Trade with all your stock related queries, and of course all the stocks that will be in focus tomorrow morning. Thanks a lot for tuning in. Stay tuned to Moneycontrol for all your other news and updates.